folks, welcome to Myers Metal Detectors, located in sunny Tampa, Florida, where we sell nothing but fun and adventures, treasure hunting gear, and anything you can imagine for metal detecting. Give us a call, 813-237-1939. Happy hunting and dig deeper.
Live from sunny Florida, it's Treasure Talk.
Okay, let's try this again. So we got it now, Jeff? Looks like...
I think so. I think we do. I think we are live now. Thank the
Are we
Lord.
live on Facebook now?
Well, yeah, I guess what it is, it's, from traveling, too many different internet things,
Yes.
or whatever. The permission had expired. I had to go redo that. So everybody can stop texting me now. So let's get after it.
Okay, so Jeff, I'm going to skip the disclaimer because everybody knows that, but I am going to say our show is purpose of Treasure Talk is to promote the hobby of metal detecting and treasure hunting and educate our members in a fun, informative manner. And let's get at it. You got an exciting guest here. So a couple, I guess 3 exciting guests.
Yes,
so
we do.
I'll let you jump right in on it, Jeff, okay?
Finally, people, we got it set up. As this with these new streaming apps, I don't know. It's goofy, but thank the Lord we're here. And I know that, it's late, so we'll just run it 15 minutes over if we need to. You're going to get the whole show. Tonight is COVID's on the run. Let's have some fun. I know personally, I am ready to have some fun. Phil's ready to have some fun. The 3 guests we have tonight are ready to have some fun, and I think you're ready to have some fun. So who we've got tonight, we've got Howard Metz. Now, he's been on before. He is a avid cruise detectorist, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what he does. And then we're going to basically turn the show over to Steve Gould from Goulds Travel in Tampa. And he's got some real exciting things to tell you about. And our special guest is Amy Southgate. She is a representative from Royal Caribbean. So we've got a bunch of questions for her. And rest assured, we're going to run 15 minutes over tonight. We need to make sure you get all the questions answered. So without any more blathering on my part, I'm going to bring in first Howard, then Amy, then Steve. So let's go. Here's Howard.
Hey, good evening.
Hey, Howard. Welcome.
Let's get Amy. Hi, Amy. And Steve, so he doesn't feel like he's left out. Steve, you're our favorite son. So we finally got it worked out.
Thank you.
And boy, I tell you what, I need a drink.
Yeah, we just had the gremlins in the computers tonight, folks. So I want to welcome you guys. And I guess, Jeff, you want me to go ahead and get started right away?
Let's just jump right into it.
Okay, we're going to jump right into it. And if you have some questions, be sure to send them on Facebook. Jocelyn will hand those to me because we do have a list of questions we started already. And then Jeff will grab the ones on YouTube. So let's start off with Howard first. Howard, you've done this before, cruise detecting. First, give a shout out to your metal detecting club.
Sure. I'm the president of Suncoast Research and Recovery Club, which is having a meeting tonight, unfortunately, without me. We set this up probably 8 months ago, and I wasn't thinking. So here I am.
Well, we're glad you're here, and you've had some exciting adventures cruising with your detector. So we're glad we're glad you could come in and do the show with us tonight. So now
let me interject something here, Phil. We need to give Howard a big Treasure Talk applause because he's the one that introduced Steve and Amy to us, brought them to us to answer all our questions so we can have some fun because COVID's on the run.
Yeah, big
I know. It's too much wine. That's all.
That must have been it. I just want to know how Jeff knew that COVID would be on the run by now. So he had his crystal ball. So
we said it would so.
he just had ESP and knew it would be done by now. So let me get started, guys, with the questions. And Howard will ask you some questions as we're going through here. First off, for Steve, and it's Amy, right?
That's my name. Don't wear it out.
Okay, from Royal Caribbean, welcome. And Steve, your company that you're with?
It's Goulds Travel. We're actually a full service travel agency here in the Tampa Bay area.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So I guess the first thing everybody wants to know is, do you have to have a proof of vaccine to board the ship? Is it required now?
So that really depends on the cruise line. Right now, the cruise lines are coming out saying that you do need to have a proof of vaccine to actually board the ships. We're not sure how long that will be or what other information will be coming once they start resuming a lot of these cruises internationally. But as it currently stands for the next few months, yes, you are required to have a vaccine.
Okay. And how about with Royal Caribbean?
Very similar. I mean, we are all kind of following in line. Everybody that's a member of CLIA is pretty much sticking to the same set of rules and guidelines from the CDC. So at this time, the only sailings that we have announced, which we are very confident are going to be happening in July, we have out of Seattle 2 different ships that are going to be sailing, and then starting in June, actually, we have a ship that's going to start sailing from the Bahamas, and both of those different departure points have said vaccinations will be required for all guests that are of age to be able to get the vaccine.
So they're going to have to show proof of a vaccine then to get on board.
Yes, both shots, and then of course the 2-week waiting period after the second shot, unless they had Johnson & Johnson, in which the 2-week waiting period after the first one.
So
Okay.
just showing my scar is not going to get it done, right?
Nope, gotta have the card.
Got to have proof. Okay. And then are there release forms needed or required? And if so, what type of forms?
Some of the ports of call have different requirements. So to board any of our ships for Royal Caribbean specifically, there'll be a very detailed health questionnaire, which guests will have to fill out as early as 24 hours prior, but can also be filled out at the terminal. Of course, we're trying to mitigate and limit the time people are in the terminal to get them boarded on the ship as quickly as they can. But this is just something that the guests will need to fill out. For some of the other ports like Nassau, there's a health visa that they have to get, which is about $60. And that's just something that's going on specifically for the Bahamas. You can fill it out, I think, 4 or 5 days prior to travel. And you have to give, at that time, you had to have proof of negative COVID test, but now they're doing away with that. So like Stephen said, the rules are ever changing, which is why it's so important to work with a travel agent, no matter how you're doing any sort of travel, because they're the ones who are, clued into all of the information that's happening.
Okay, so how is the social distancing handled when you're on the ship and also in the ports? How do you guys do that?
Well, it's going to be a lot like it is in our everyday lives at Publix or, wherever you're out and about. Very similar. So just like when we had directional lines and signs and, markers on the floor, the partitions and the plexiglass, there'll be lots of different ways to keep people physically distanced 6 feet apart, even though it will be fully vaccinated cruises for the startup. And then, of course, we're going to have limited capacity. So they haven't revealed exactly how limited that will be, but you can bet it's going to be pretty significant in the beginning. Much like when Disney and Universal reopened, obviously we all err on the side of caution and kind of learn as we go. What do we need to adapt or update or, new measures that we have in place. But given it's been 15 months, we've been working on this for a long time. So we feel prepared.
Absolutely. And this one, I'm asking you, Amy and Steve, and then Howard, we're going to get you in on this too. What type of on-board restrictions are there for hookah and metal detecting equipment?
So this is kind of new territory for both Stephen and I, so we're learning as we go. But when it comes to any handheld small metal detectors for personal use, much of like what many of the members already have, those are permitted on board the ships. We have to kind of inquire if there are going to be lots of people in the event there might be some storage restrictions. So as long as it's not a commercial grade, large scale, won't fit through our metal detectors to go through to board the ship because all items must go through there. Then you're pretty much good to go. Stephen, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, similar to like what Amy's saying is a lot of you guys are already traveling with your metal detectors on flights and whatnot. So what you can get through TSA is essentially kind of the same size that you can pretty much fit through with the cruise line. Just a normal size metal detector, especially for what you'd be using out on the beach and whatnot. what Amy mentioned is if you do have a group or anything like that that are going together, sometimes we can get certain caveats and things like that worked into the contract to make sure that you guys are able to bring your items and whatnot on board, whether it's metal detectors or otherwise. Some things do need to be approved by the ships as well as Royal Caribbean or the cruise line as a whole. But a lot of times, if we're dealing with a whole group, we can have those conversations prior to just kind of jumping in.
Okay, so as long as it breaks down and small enough, there shouldn't be an issue. And the new hookah systems that I've been selling a lot of, the Blue Nemo, they all fit in a backpack. So it would be a backpack somebody be carrying along with their probably a bag with a metal detector. So that would all be pretty much okay.
And then scoops.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the scoop. Got to have a scoop. So I guess they need to have a travel version of the scoop too. And I'm going to jump over to Howard on this because Howard has actually done this. And give us your thoughts there, Howard.
Sure, I've got the small aluminum I guess it's a 4-foot handle breakdown that you sell for
Yeah.
about 120 bucks, or maybe to 129 now. But I've had no problems sailing on Royal Caribbean. I've been through Norwegian, Carnival. Not once have I had a problem.
And you're taking now. You haven't taken your hookah equipment yet, have you?
Not yet.
And are you
So we're
planning
looking
on doing
forward.
that?
Believe me, I want to use it on the private island. Go out in the deeper water.
So you're planning on doing that then?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right.
Hey, I got a question for Amy. On these private islands, can you hook us up there, get us some good stuff, eh? You got any pull?
I mean, I think the beaches may be pretty combed over when it comes to, a perfect day Coco Cay, but you can certainly go there and check things out. There's definitely some more remote parts of the island as well. So I'm actually sporting my Coco Cay shirt today because I can't wait to get back there, and I love it. I'm Coco Cay obsessed. And they've done so many great things, and we have some more enhancements coming down the line as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
This question I had off of Facebook, Jocelyn handed it to me, and it's right along the lines. They're asking, can you detect on these private islands? And I'll ask Steve and Amy, and then I'll shoot over to Howard.
So as far as the private islands, they pretty much fall in line with whatever the cruise lines say. So we would have to get actual permission from them. Amy can speak directly to Coco Cay, being that they do own Royal Caribbean does own that private island. In regards to the other destinations, it is whatever the actual individual countries would kind of allow. So as long as they're allowing metal detecting, just like the cruise lines are, you're more than welcome to. It would just kind of depend on the destination that you're looking to travel to. But Amy, maybe you could answer a little bit better about the private islands.
The key would be as long as you remain in the guest area. Obviously, Coco Cay, we have over 400 crew members that live there and work there as well. So there's a whole set of, section of the island that's dedicated for crew, and then a whole section beyond that that's actually uninhibited, and there's really completely remote at that side. So you'd have to stay on the guest side, which is still 100 acres. So it's really large space, but a lot of options there, and that would be just fine.
And Howard, you've detected it, Coco
I've
Cay, right?
detected all the islands. In fact, it's funny, Royal Caribbean, I've done both their private islands. The one's in Haiti and the other's Coco Cay. And both of them have employees that have metal detectors that approach me and said, hey, I do this after all you guys leave. I'm happy to do it.
That's how they make all their extra tips, right?
Well, the thing about metal detecting is you never find it all. Isn't that
That's
right,
right.
Howard?
Oh, yeah, there's always things to find out there, believe me.
Yeah, because especially when you're water hunting, there's just no way to get everything. There's no way you can overlap and cover an area thoroughly. So that's why all these tourists come and are new depositors for us to find different things, coins and jewelry and whatnot. So even if they have people who live there with detectors, you still never find it all. So
Well,
that's
they're dumping 3,000 to 5,000 people on that beach, so that helps contribute quite a few pieces of jewelry and coins and what have you.
oh
And
yeah,
the drink package works on the island as well. And that also probably helps contribute to the lost items.
absolutely. And are there any? I guess this is another question off of Facebook. Are there any restrictions on hunting in the water? And that's from Tim Naylor.
Not to my knowledge, as long as it's in an area that's, again, part of the guest space. and not interrupting or disrupting any of the coral reefs, then A-okay.
And I would say what we always use on the travel agency side of things is we always reach out to our tourism boards, whether it is the CVBs, the tourism authorities. It depends on each destination, but they usually have the best and up-to-date information for that, or they know where to get that from. So if any of you guys have questions about that stuff specifically, we can either research it for you as your travel advisors, or I would definitely say to check out the individual tourism authorities for each of those destinations.
Yeah, it's always best to check ahead of time, and that's why the members are interested in the show because they want to know about this. Because metal detecting has gotten really, really popular now, so I'm sure a lot more people are going to want to take their detectors on the cruise with them now. Um, Gene McKinney off of Facebook is asking, is there anywhere where you're not allowed to use a metal detector?
There are
In
actually
the
some.
dining room.
Yes, that is very true. But no, there is actually a list of destinations where metal detecting is actually allowed and or banned. I can actually get a copy of that list for you guys. It is kind of separated out by each country, so you guys can kind of see where it's allowed, where it's not allowed. But again, each country is different. So some things may be allowed in certain parts of the destination, like Amy mentioned, in the guest areas of the private islands, but some of the other countries may allow it in more open areas or not in private areas as well.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
cool.
important to know because we want to have fun and if you could post that information on our Facebook page would be awesome. If you
Absolutely.
could
I'll make
do
a note
that,
of that.
absolutely. And
And I'll make sure I get it out on YouTube too, Steve.
Perfect. Absolutely.
and Crystal Genzer is asking what cruise line Amy is with. I know we said it, but we can say it 10 more times. Go ahead,
Royal
Amy.
Caribbean.
Royal Caribbean. All righty. And let me keep going down my list. Where, since we're on Royal Caribbean, where do most departures take place from on Royal Caribbean?
So we depart from more than 50 destinations around the world and visit more than 300 on the voyages. So we're pretty much everywhere. But locally here in Florida, for those who are also Floridians like us, you've got Tampa, Port Canaveral, Fort Lauderdale, and Miami. And those range from as short as 3 nights, as long as 14 nights. Stephen, as he mentioned in the beginning, he's a full service travel agency, him and his team. So whether it's a cruise, a land package, a combination of that, I mean, whatever it is, his team's able to facilitate that and book it for folks. So that's, again, one of the great things about going with the travel agent. They book so many different types of travel that they're going to have those little inside details.
Yeah, and to kind of elaborate on that, our team is basically located from Miami up to New England over to South Dakota. So we're pretty much all over and we are constantly expanding. But we do cater to mostly the US domestic market traveling internationally. So it would be anybody who is a US resident going internationally. A lot of times, if you have friends or family, or if you're tuning in from other countries and whatnot, there are some certain seller of travel laws and restrictions that we have to abide by. But going back to the whole cruising side of things, the fact that we are almost nationwide at this point, we can basically handle ports from anywhere around the entire US or internationally as well. So if you even wanted to fly over to Italy and take a trip from Rome over to the Mediterranean, you're more than welcome to do that through us as well.
Okay, I got a question off YouTube, Phil.
Go ahead.
Does Goulds Travel deal specifically with cruises, or do they also do resort stays?
We do a little of everything. Cruises was our bread and butter because, like Amy mentioned, we do have 5 different cruise ports here in our backyard of Florida, from Jacksonville down to Miami over here to Tampa. So we started with cruising about 11 years ago. That pulled us internationally, going more into the all-inclusive resort market. And now we pretty much sell the entire world. So if there's somewhere you're looking to go, chances are we have a supplier that can send you there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I saw that. I guess Tim put that question on Facebook and YouTube, Jeff.
Yeah. Well,
It's a
he's the
good
mumbles
question
man.
because it's a misconception with some travel agents. They see a name like, cruise something and they think, oh, they only do cruises. But, a lot of the travel agents out there, it's one of the benefits of working with various vendors is they have the tools and the training to work with various preferred vendors that can get them better pricing, better perks, better service. And, when you get all of that and you're paying less, I mean, it's a no brainer. So, I mean, I work for Royal Caribbean and I still work with a travel agent. So that should hopefully tell you something right there.
And Amy, while we have you, what are the destinations that are open right now or opening soon?
That is a very fluid list. So, I mean, at this time, we are only sailing from Singapore, Southampton, Nassau, soon to be Seattle, soon to be Cyprus. So we're trying to expand rather quickly. Of course, in the U.S., things are dependent on our partnership with the CDC, but we submitted a document last week, which we feel really positive about that will get approval this week. So we're kind of just standing by and ready to go. We have 26 ships in our fleet alone. So all the cruise lines are kind of waiting with bated breath to be able to get started.
And
Okay.
Phil, to kind of jump off of that, what I would say is for anybody who is interested in finding out what destinations are open, always check the state.gov website. And the best way to do that is by going to travel.state.gov. You can get your COVID restrictions. You can find out which countries are open, which countries are flagged as a level 1, 2, 3, or 4 as far as the travel advisories are concerned. But again, kind of reaching out to a travel advisor is usually the best because right now the United States is actually a level 4. It was a couple weeks ago when I just checked that last. And so it basically says that international people should not be traveling into the United States. And we being here in the United States know that a lot of that is kind of in certain destinations, certain areas, and so on and so forth. That happens similarly internationally as well. So, for instance, a lot of people of my clients go over to Mexico a lot, and they're like, you know what? Mexico is ranked level 4. If you look into the tourist zone where everyone was actually traveling, it's typically a level 2. And so it has to do with a lot of the conversations that you have to have from an advisor to their client.
So in other words, it's really a smart move to call you, Steve, at Goulds Travel and say, this is what we're thinking. What do we need to know? And you can do all that legwork. You know who to talk to and everything. So it's best to really just go through your travel agent.
Absolutely. We had a client back in January that was like, listen, we want to go on a cruise in March. And I said, you know what? I want to go on a cruise in March too, but chances are they're not happening. So let's push that back a little bit and have a legitimate conversation of when this is going to work. And the same thing happened. A client reached out to me in March for a trip they wanted to take to Ireland in June. And I said, listen, Ireland may be open in June, but things are still going to be on the upswing of opening. So is that really the kind of experience that you're looking for? Or are you wanting to wait until these destinations open up a little bit more
Mhm.
and you're able to get the full experience? So it's great to have that conversation with our clients.
Absolutely. And Howard, I'm going to bring you back in here for a second. Now, what was your favorite ship to depart from? Area to spot, I guess, in the state of Florida to depart from?
Well, my favorite, only because of the ride to it, is Port Canaveral.
Okay.
They're all good as far as the ports, but it's a nice, quick ride to get to Port Canaveral and get back home.
So, have you left by any other cities or
Oh yeah, Miami and Port Everglades.
none out
They're,
of
they're
Tampa?
never out of Tampa myself. My parents have, but not I.
And where did they go?
Oh, they went to the Western Caribbean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I will tell you, Phil, the good thing about Tampa is it is right here in our backyard. Myself, Howard, and Amy are all here in the Tampa Bay area. So it's really easy to get to the cruise port. However, it's not as easy for the cruise ships because we have what's called the Skyway Bridge. And every cruise ship needs to make it under that Skyway Bridge to be able to get out into international waters. So we're only allowed to bring ships of a certain size into our Tampa port here. So if you're looking for a larger ship, it typically has to be done out of Port Canaveral or Miami or Port Everglades, like Howard mentioned.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to interject a comment here. Rick Tumbleson said some of the countries won't let you around fort sites or colonial sites. Also, if there's a known shallow wreck sites, they're not going to let you metal detect there. So that would be a good reason to contact Steve and make sure the beach or whatnot that you're going to allows metal detecting. So that's a perfect segue into that because you want to make sure the country, one beach area might be open, and then maybe in front of another site it might not be. So always check with with Steve and make sure it's okay.
And I'll tell you too, Phil, one of the biggest things too is just like COVID, there's certain destinations that change on every weekly basis. And I'm sure that's kind of the case in metal detecting and whatnot too, where at one point things may be allowed or not allowed, and then a week later things may be banned or reopening and so on and so forth. So even something like that, I would definitely say come to me. I have no problem being an intermediary for you for that, but we want to make sure that we get you guys to the right answers as well, which could be either the local tourism authority or um, finding an information outlet kind of like the state website with a lot of those kind of disclaimers and whatnot, because we can't be liable for a lot of that on the travel side, and we also don't want you guys as the individuals to just show up there thinking one thing where it's like, no, this is either detectors are not allowed or you could have been there and you missed out, unfortunately. So we want to make sure that you guys have the best experience across the board.
Okay, awesome. And since things are starting to open up here, at least soon they will be, how far in advance is booking required?
So as far as requirements, you could book the day before if it's open. However, honestly, the way things are going is this is what I've been telling everybody right now is everyone that was planning 2019 for their trips for 2020 got canceled. All of 2020, most of 2021 have been canceled as well. So people are already rebooking their vacations through 2022 and into 2023, which means the availability is going down and the pricing is going up. So everyone's thinking they're going to get this great steal of a deal, they're going to be giving things away, but the truth of the matter is that people are still wanting to travel, and so that price point is still elevating while availability is decreasing. So some of these hotels that are opening at 50-60% are having half of their allotment. Sometimes we can get deals, sometimes we can't. So what I tell everybody is just book as soon as possible once you find that deal or that something that works for you, because chances are it's going to change within a 24-hour period, honestly.
Well, yeah, I mean, with the like the whole theme of the show, COVID on the run. Let's have some fun. Half the people, either they've turned into an alcoholic or they're so fat they can't fit in any of their clothes because they've been quarantined. You know, and then there's others who can't fit into their wetsuit. But what are
I
we
knew
going
it
to
was
do?
coming. I knew it was coming. I was just waiting, Jeff. You
Phil,
got it.
I love you like a brother, mother.
So book it early as soon as you get a chance. Now, here's the other question. If let's say the country shut the port down for COVID, uh, would the people get a refund on their trip?
So that's kind of the big question that has come up since day one last March when all of this kind of hit is what kind of refunds, what kind of credits, and whatnot are we experiencing? I will say every single supplier is different, every single travel agency is different. So really find the ones that you really want to work with for XYZ. With Royal Caribbean and a lot of the cruise lines, thankfully, have done an incredible job working with both clients and travel agents, where if they are canceling a trip, they're giving you the option of 100% refund or up to even 150% as a future cruise credit, depending on the cruise line, the destination, etc., as well as onboard credits and other certain perks and amenities. So it really just depends. Other lines or other suppliers have said, you know what, unfortunately, we're not able to hemorrhage this much money up front, but we will give you guys a good faith credit of either 100, 125, 150%, as long as you rebook with us within a usually 12 to 24-month window from once they kind of get things rolling again.
And they can check with you on that before they book the cruise on what the policies are. Now,
Absolutely. I have a lot of clients that come to me and they're like, listen, we want to go to XYZ, but before we give you money, what does this look like if they end up canceling? And I 100% recommend travel insurance at this point for anybody that's never booked it before. It could be a lifesaver right now. So it is something that every travel agent is recommending. And if you haven't considered it, ask them for a quote because a lot of times they have several different suppliers that they can quote that through for you.
yeah, that was my next question, and you brought it up, travel insurance. So that's a good idea for somebody who wants to book a cruise to also get the travel insurance. And then if it was canceled, what happens with the travel insurance? How does that work?
So a couple different ways. The insurance through the cruise lines and the tour operators or suppliers that we use basically encompass whatever is booked through in without, I'm sorry, within that tour operator or cruise line. So if, for instance, you end up booking your cruise through Royal Caribbean and it's going to be sailing from, let's say, Germany. Well, you book your flight separately through American Airlines. That insurance through Royal Caribbean does not cover your flights with American Airlines. So you would either need a bundled policy that would cover the entire trip, or you would need to purchase an insurance package through American Airlines and a separate insurance through Royal Caribbean. Based on the insurance, each supplier, again, is different. If you do get a credit with most of the cruise lines, they are issuing an insurance credit. If you do get a refund, a lot of times they were refunding that insurance back. But because the insurance actually starts from the day of purchase, a lot of them are saying your insurance unfortunately is lost because it is something that you had use of from that day of purchase until that day of cancellation, just like any other car insurance and all that. Even though you may not use it, you have use of it from the day you actually bind the
Right.
policy. Some of the insurance companies that are out there, though, are also offering credits up to 1 year or 24 months, depending on the trip cancellation and all that, too, though.
Okay, we got a question off of YouTube. Are any of the excursions, and I guess by that I would take it, they mean any kind of trip. They're not, oh, you're not limited to just cruising, right, Steve? I mean, you can book other overseas trips or, continental trips, whatever, right?
Absolutely. So the good thing with excursions, especially when you're dealing with cruise line partners, honestly, one of the biggest caveats to working with a cruise line is, God forbid, you're on an excursion, you get a flat tire, and you're going to be 2 hours late. It is the cruise line's responsibility to get you guys back to the ship at that point because it is booked through them. If you book through a third party, you walk off the ship, you find a guy that is giving you a $10 cab ride around the entire island, and unfortunately you get kidnapped or taken or get a flat tire or something. Unfortunately, that is on you. The cruise lines do use very reputable excursion companies, and they vet their excursion companies and take care of all of that for you guys so that you don't have to worry about that. But as travel advisors, we can certainly use other third-party companies that are reputable and will take care of you guys from start to finish as well. But that is one of the perks and caveats to working directly with the cruise lines in that regard.
Good. Okay, Howard, I'm going to interject you here for a second. Now, you've done many of these cruises. How many have you done?
Cruises with metal detectors?
Yes.
Wow. I don't know, 6, I'm going to say, that I can think of. Maybe my wife's saying more.
Okay.
Quite a few.
Okay, it's more. Now, how well do you do on them? Have you done
Very
it?
good. I find enough usually to pay for my portion of the cruise.
For your portion of the cruise? Have you ever done well enough to pay for both you and your wife?
No, because she's not metal detecting.
Well, she's got a hookah. You buy her a detector.
Do you let her drink and eat though, Howard, or what, man?
Hey, as long as Janine's enjoying the cruise, that's all that matters.
Me, the guys are metal detecting. They're spending money while we're out trying to find it.
So you're out
Now,
there.
remember
trying to
one
find
thing,
it.
Howard, when they get even, it hurts bad.
So you've often gotten enough to pay for your cruise, part of the cruise then?
Yes, I've had one cruise only where I didn't find that much, but all the other ones, yes.
Yeah. So even with people living on the private islands and doing it, it still has had no effect.
No. In fact, you're going to find a lot of people. In fact, Coco Cay, I had a cruiser who lost their custom-made ring that day. It was just made the week prior, people from New Hampshire. And they approached me, and I said, hey, I'm going to lunch with my wife. I'll meet you here in 45 minutes. We came back, and within 3 minutes, I had the guy's ring.
Nice.
So,
Did he end up paying for your cruise for you at least, Howard?
Big donation for the club? Anything?
well, he offered to buy drinks. My wife said he won't take anything.
Well, he could have made a donation to your club.
Well, at the time, since her club is not international yet.
Oh, there you go.
Well, the best find you have, Howard, on the cruise is you find your way back to your wife.
There you go.
Oh, yes.
That's the best find.
We always find ourselves back. Yep.
Okay. I've got one more question here. What precautions against COVID does the Royal Caribbean do, both on ship and during ports of call?
So those are ever evolving as well. We haven't released our entire scope of protocols for returning to service. They're just starting to kind of come out and again, change along the way, more enhancements. So there were 2 big things that changed that we've announced recently, one of which is our mustering, because when you get on board the ship, you have to do the muster drill. And previously that was an event that brought lots of people together in a confined space for like an hour of your life that you really could have used that at the bar or the pool or wherever. And we actually have made some great upgrades to that program. So now you can do it pretty much on your phone. So you can either do it on your phone or on your stateroom TV. The first two steps of the mustering, which is basically what is the emergency signal and how to don a life jacket. And then the third step is ultimately going to the station, which they have a 4-hour window to go to the station. So again, people are coming and going, but not congregating in that large group. And then, if you don't proceed to the drill within the 4 hours, then you walk the plank. So it's a very simple process. And they actually were testing this on the Symphony of the Seas in, I want to say January 2020. So we were already kind of working on this in a pre-COVID world, but it's really going to help us. The other thing we've done is change our air filtration system. So we've upgraded to a MERV 13, which a typical house maximum is normally like 6 to 8. So we've, pretty much doubled that. And people are getting, I would say, between 15 and 20 fresh air circulations in the public areas, about 10 to 12 fresh air circulations in the staterooms. So big upgrades to air circulation. And those are just two different ways that we're helping keep people safe on board. There's a whole scope of things, like we're going to have our own book of protocols, which is going to be very extensive. I'm sure a real fun read as well. But that is going to be coming out very soon. And on RoyalCaribbean.com, we have our own section about healthy cruising. And then also on our Healthy Sail panel at RoyalCaribbeanGroup.com/Healthy Sail panel.
And can you get some of that stuff regularly to me or through Steve so I can post it for our members?
Yeah, of course.
To keep them up to date on what's going on?
Yep.
I've got a question off YouTube too, Philip. Mark Fiorella wants to know if are masks required on the ship, and if so, where on the ship?
So each cruise line is operating a little bit differently. At this time, we haven't made a determination yay or nay. However, our sister brand Celebrity said for our fully vaccinated cruises, the mask would not be required. So Royal Caribbean has not taken a stance at this time, but we're very hopeful that it would align with whatever the standard is in our regular everyday lives. Going to the grocery store or a restaurant, those same kind of protocols and plans would be upheld on the ship. So we are hopeful, but haven't heard anything at this time.
Well, going along with that, I guess, Amy, your employees, they're probably all required to be vaccinated, correct?
Yes, and they're all going to be wearing masks as well. So all the employees are already starting to get their vaccination. So anyone that may live near one of the ports, because again, we're not just here in Florida, but we have ships in Seattle, Galveston, soon to be Los Angeles, Baltimore, Bayonne. So we're all over the place. And those crew members are getting dispersed to some of those ships. And we have arranged for vaccinations when they're coming into port as well. So the good thing about the masks, though, is everybody has a little button that has a picture of them not wearing a mask, so they can see the face behind the mask and know what they look like. So just a little added thing to see what their smile looks like.
So in other words, if you're a single guy on the cruise and you're looking for a girlfriend, you'll be able to tell if she has teeth, right?
That's true. But teeth are kind of a prerequisite at Royal Caribbean, so.
There's been some guys that have been, because of the mask, one guy married a girl with 2 teeth.
All right, let's bring it back. Howard, Gary Gross is asking about your finds. What was your best find you found on the cruise?
Best find was actually a couple of them, and they're both in the Bahamas. One was a palladium ring, and the other was a very large 18-karat gold wedding band that would probably 2 of my fingers would go through it. The guy that wore it must have been a monster.
Yeah. Have you found any chains?
Silver chains. Yep.
Silver chains, no gold chains. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Okay, another question off YouTube. What kind of, on the ships, let's say, are the sanitation procedures?
So all the ships have different levels of sanitization, and essentially we've pretty much upgraded to what we would normally have as the highest level of sanitization, when there was like flu season or norovirus, we'd be sanitizing frequently touched spaces every 30 minutes. So there are some people who their entire job is going to be sanitizing the ship. So you can expect that any public space, if someone's touching it, it's going to be sanitized. If it feels wet, it's fresh sanitized.
Now, another part of that question is, in the dining room, they're not the family style tables anymore, correct? Due to COVID, they're
Well, we
more
still do
spacious.
have some larger tables because if they are in a traveling party, and of course, Royal Caribbean's a family brand, so we get a lot of multi-generations that travel together. So we can accommodate families, but we are not encouraging, so to speak, people that don't know each other to sit together. And I think with the limited capacity and moving some of those tables out, that will easily allow us to have more tables of 2 or 4 or whatever is suited for the family.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Hey, everybody wants to hear about Howard's find. So Howard, what is your oldest find you found?
Oldest find is going to be in the Bahamas. I found a musket ball.
So you found a musket ball on
In
a
the water.
popular beach in the water
Yep,
there in the Bahamas. And that could have been dropped by the Spanish or it could have been dropped by anybody.
that's right.
Yeah, because those islands probably turned hands several times, I imagine. And then they're asking you, Howard, for your funny story about metal detecting there on the cruise.
Let me try to think here. Funny story.
I should have
Well, you
said,
know that me, Joe, and Demeter always go together. So Bahamas, the water is owned by the people, so you're allowed to hunt any of the Bahamas beaches with no problem as far as in the water. So we took the meter for the first time, never had any issues. The first time we took the meter, we came off of hunting, and we went through the port, and me and Demeter have our Mind Lab bags with our Excaliburs in there, and they look like rifle cases. So we got pulled aside, and I guess off to the side there, you go through a gate, there's like a military place there with the police and soldiers, and we had to go through there with our cases and show them we had and explain things.
okay. So I guess that's a good lesson. Make sure your metal detector bag says scuba equipment on it.
Yep.
And then you'd be okay. You wouldn't get pulled off to the side.
Well, Joe had his in a backpack, and he went right through. So
Yeah. Because if they thought it looked like a rifle, I could understand somebody pulling you off to the side. So that's good to know. All right. Well, let's while we still got some time left. Are there any perks or discounts for Treasure Talk members? I guess this is to you, Steve.
Absolutely. So kind of the good thing about working with all the cruise lines is we do have exclusive promotions. This is something that a lot of people probably don't know about travel agents is throughout the year, we're kind of given different promotions, perks, amenities, so on and so forth. We definitely do have several of them for you guys, but again, it depends on the cruise line and also when you guys book. But for anybody who does book, that mentions the Treasure Talk within the next 2 weeks, which is basically today until June 7th. Then you guys will be getting some sort of onboard amenities or onboard credit, just specifically in addition to anything that the cruise lines are offering. So just go ahead and reach out to us, and we're more than happy to accommodate that for you guys. I know I've already gotten a couple of partners like ABO by Royal Caribbean. I've gotten Norwegian Cruise Line and a couple others as well to say that they are more than happy to provide exclusive promos to you guys. But I could kind of run through the whole list of promos that we have available to you right now, but it would be a little excessive. So we can kind of take them as they come in for anybody that's looking to travel, like I said, for the next 2 weeks. And I'm sorry, not looking to travel, but looking to book within the next 2 weeks.
Okay. I'm having a little difficulty hearing.
Question. If, let's just say, for instance, we wanted to do a Treasure Talk group, and we had a bunch of members that wanted to get together, how many would we need to have, or, expound a little bit on that, would you please?
Yeah, so the average group is a minimum of 8 cabins that you guys have booked. Sometimes we can be a little bit flexible depending on the group itself. If you guys have a major group going, which is usually more than about 99, depending on the cruise line, sometimes 199, That's kind of where we need to get more into a bit of a contracted group, which means that we need to actually negotiate everything a little bit more because we're taking a sizable chunk out of the ship's inventory, basically.
Okay.
But any group size, 8 passengers or more, or I'm sorry, not 8 passengers, 8 cabins or more at double occupancy, which means 2 people or more in a cabin, we can definitely put together a group for you guys. And then you guys would also get group amenities as well that you can have from the cruise line too.
Okay, cool.
And what is a group amenity?
It could range from all different things, from tote bags to onboard credit to cocktail parties. I mean, you name it, they pretty much have it on board for you guys.
Oh, awesome.
What kind of amenities you got for us, Amy?
Well, that's basically what Steven's saying. I mean, it definitely varies. And it also depends on when people book and how many book. So, of course, the more that come, the better and bigger and, bolder the amenities. So, and traveling together is really fun as well. So, if you'd like to do something and get together, I would encourage everybody to get with you guys to make sure you can make that happen. Maybe select a couple of cruise dates that work for you and go from there.
And not
So,
to
in
put Amy
other
on the
words,
spot or
if,
anything,
if
but I'm going
I
to
could talk Philip into going on a cruise, then I could have a nice key lime pie put in his cabin waiting on him, right?
Yes. And Howard will take you to all the hot spots in the Bahamas so that everybody
Yes.
can have all
So
kinds
I
of
can
cool
find
treasures.
some gold too. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Hey, speaking of Howard, Len Epstein is asking, what's the oldest coin you found? I guess you perked his interest with the musket ball.
Yep, trying to think. Nothing, honestly, nothing from the 1800s. I'll say probably 1940s or 50s. It'll be a foreign coin. I don't remember if it was Bahamas or which country it was from. But you'll
Okay,
find, you'll find not only if you're in the Bahamas, you'll find Russian coins, you'll find Chinese coins, you'll find everything from all the tourists out there.
right. Coins from all over the world. So
Yep.
they might even find a gold coin.
I haven't had that happen yet. I'm still waiting for that to happen.
Me too. I mention that every show. I haven't found a gold coin yet, and I've been looking for 40 years. So it's going to happen.
Jeff, I saw you over there having a glass of wine. So to put Amy on the spot here a little bit, on top of the onboard amenity that I'm giving everybody, I'm going to see if Amy can throw in a little something for everyone on Treasure Talk.
Well, since you put me on the spot, yes. I mean, what can I say? No, of course, of course. Yeah, anybody that books with Steven in the next 2 weeks, any sailing, any ship sail date with Royal Caribbean, happy to throw in a free bottle of wine.
Perfect. See, it pays to have that glass of wine next to you, too.
I'm a wino myself. I love a good Pinot Noir.
Good. Hey, Janine, how you doing?
Good, good. I
So
wanted
you
to say
got-
hi to Steve.
Well, there
I haven't
she
seen you
is.
for a while.
Janine, it's been way too long. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, good.
And do not let Howard abuse you on the cruises, Jeannie. Make them pay.
I keep him in line pretty good.
Janine, well, he's out finding
It's a
all the
full-time
treasure.
job,
You
I
go to the
know.
casino.
Well, I got to tell my little story. We went to Aruba, and some of the hunters from the England trip knew somebody from Aruba. He's Dutch, and Howard forgot his phone in the cabin, and they always leave like 6:30 in the morning and leave. And I was like, "Wow, how come Howard's phone is here? That guy was supposed to meet him, at the beach." And so I called up the guy and with WhatsApp, and he said, "Oh, they're out the beach today. I'll meet you." And I said, "Oh well, I'll take the bus there." And he goes, "No, I'll pick you up in my Ferrari." I can't remember. No, what was it?
No, it was Mercedes. It wasn't
Mercedes.
Ferrari.
No,
It was
no, different story.
It was a nice Mercedes.
Well, geez,
Yeah,
at least
so
you
he
can
picks
get
me
a
up
scoop in a Mercedes.
and takes
Kinda
me
hard
to
in
the
a
beach.
Ferrari.
A local guy from the cruise port, and sure enough, the guy within 10 minutes found a big honking gold ring.
Oh, yeah.
And
Nice.
anything that day.
Right in front of the Ritz-Carlton Motel. Beautiful beach.
Oh, wow.
So the water's warmer there, folks, and you can have a good time on your cruise with your detector. That's awesome.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Now, I've got a question for Stephen. If somebody, some of our members, let's say they want to book a trip to England, let's say, to detect. Is that something that you can do, or other locations that you can do?
Yeah, absolutely. So we can actually work with our suppliers, like I said, to send people pretty much all around the world. It's basically just putting together the flight and hotel package, and then we can work with a lot of the in-destination transportation companies to see about maybe getting you guys private transportation to and from either beaches or other destinations that may kind of be a highlight for you guys that you'll want to travel to. And so we can definitely work all over the world, like I said, as far as that's concerned.
Okay, cool.
All righty. Well, Jeff, it looks like I've run through all my questions.
Okay, let's see. Has anybody else got any questions here? Because we got started late, and we can take a little bit more time should we need to. I tell you what, let's do, Phil. Let's start with Howard, then we'll go to Stephen, and then we'll go to Amy, and let them, give us a good night. Tell us about, all that kind of stuff. So, your favorite things about cruise detecting, Howard, and Stephen, whatever you want to say to our members and viewers, and the same with you, Amy. So, Howard, it's up to you, man.
You first.
Okay, you want to start with me?
Yep.
Probably the first thing I would recommend to do is include a manual for your metal detector. This way, if somebody doesn't know what a metal detector is, you can pull it out to show them. That's helpful.
That would be.
But most of the cruise lines, honestly, especially Royal Caribbean, there was an English guy on there. He knew exactly what it was. He goes, oh, they're metal detectors. He's fine.
I would say 8 years ago it was hard. Now it's
Yeah, most people know about them. So, I mean, it's not a big deal. But I'd like to hear more from Steve and Amy. I think Amy had some information from her cruise line.
Amy, I'll pass it over to you next then.
Well, I would say probably the most important thing is to book with a travel agent. I hate to be on my soapbox about it, but it's so important. Like I said, I work for the cruise line and even I book with a travel agent, but really they can save you time, save you money, give you the service that you need. I've been working with Stephen for 5 years. Howard, I know that you guys have been booking with him as well and can speak to that level of service. It just makes such a difference. And the cruise lines, we are working really hard behind the scenes to make sure people feel safe in a post-COVID world. Just like the mustering and the new air filtration are just two of the ways we're trying to help folks feel safe on board our cruise ships. We've been in business for, 51 years now, and we want to be in business 150 more years. So our goal is really to make sure we're in it for the long game. We keep our guests safe and that they have a great, enjoyable vacation. So when people come to stay with us, you know that you can trust us. It's like you're home away from home.
All right,
Excellent.
Steve,
And
you're
like
next.
Amy, yeah, and like Amy said, kind of working with a travel agent, it really comes down to finding out who you work best with. I know I'm on here right now talking to you guys, but there are travel agents at almost every corner. There's everything from full-time to part-timers to even hobbyists who just do it for their family and friends and whatnot. It really is about building the relationship, though, and making sure that the travel agent that you're working with truly works as your travel advocate and your travel advisor. A lot of times you can save money by working with a travel agent. Sometimes it does come in more expensive because the package that you're looking for based on what they're able to give you is exactly what you want, even though it may be a few dollars more. Some charge fees, some don't. It really is just kind of about finding the one that works best for you.
Okay, got a question off YouTube, Phil. They want to know if you can expound a little bit more about packing, for the traveling with your metal detector and equipment and that kind of stuff. So, Howard, I guess that one would fall to you, and then
Yeah,
Steve, and
go
then
ahead.
Andy.
Well, when I go, I take 2 detectors. I take my Excalibur and I carry that in my Mind Lab bag over my shoulder. In that bag, I have that scoop that Phil has that breaks down. I sometimes, depending on the weather, will have a wetsuit in there and my shoes for the water I wear. I also have a ZZ21. The handle goes in our luggage that gets carried away by the cruise company. They drop it off the door for you. And my electronics go in my carry-on. So the ZZ21 packs up really nice. And that's my backup. I've never had to use it. I've always used the Excalibur. In fact, the one time I didn't do that well was the Excalibur battery went bad, and I should have pulled out the ZZ21. That's probably why I didn't find as much. But other
But
than
now
that,
you're going to have the Nemo too, aren't you?
well, Nemo is going to be coming out this year or this next year, next cruise.
Yes.
In fact, we're trying to book something with Steve right now. My wife and I want to go to Europe next year. So for 2022, we're going to do something in the Mediterranean. I already talked to Steve. He's going to come up with a couple of different cruises that we can choose. And I may have the Zeemers, Joe and Donna, may want to go on a cruise also. And who knows, maybe we'll have more.
Cool.
Awesome. So the good point is take a backup with you, so you have a backup detector in case your detector fails, because take all the time to do the cruise. You want to make sure you can get out there and have fun. So come see
Sure. I
me
mean, I've
and buy
never
a
had a
backup
problem
detector.
yet, but they can hurt.
Yeah.
Okay, Steve, what about your suggestions and tips?
Yeah, so my suggestion really comes down to whether it's the cruise line, airline, or otherwise, whoever you're going to be going with, you do need to check whatever luggage protocols you're bringing. Some airlines have certain height weight requirements, some have fees that they could charge based on the actual height, weight, or otherwise. So I always say definitely take it back to the individual cruise line or airline that you're working with and make sure that whatever type of packaging that you're doing, whether it's in a suitcase or in a backpack or otherwise, that it is able to be allowed through TSA and through the airline as well.
Okay. And Amy, close us out.
Well, packing is a complicated issue, especially for women. But I would say, most importantly, in your carry-on, it is important to always keep your passport, always keep any medications you need, and always keep another change of clothes. I have unfortunately dealt with situations where I flew somewhere and my luggage did not join me. And let me tell you, I am very glad I brought my swimsuit and a change of clothes, including underwear, guys. Just reminder, this is an important item. Pack an extra, because you never know if your luggage is going to make it all the way. Better to be safe. Save a little room.
Go commando, eh?
No, because if you only have the one pair, you're going to have to wash that pair often. So, take, little tip there for you.
And I will say, kind of treading back to Amy's conversation, make sure that any of your electronics and everything, if you are packing your metal detector, any electronics like laptop or otherwise, go in your carry-on as well, because they could break and you don't want to deal with that.
Absolutely.
Very good. Well, that about wraps us up, Phil. You got any
Yes, it
closing
does.
remarks?
We ran over a little bit because we got a late start, but folks, we thank you. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Howard. And thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jocelyn, for answering me the questions. And folks, if you want to book a cruise, be sure to give Steve a shout out and get it lined up early so you can get out there and find some gold.
Thank you much. And it's just goldstravel.com for anybody that needs it too.
Yes,
Absolutely.
indeed.
And
So,
post it on our Facebook page too. And I say thank you to all you guys and happy hunting and dig deeper. And Jeff, I'll let you close it out.
All righty. Howard, thanks much, man, for hooking us up with Steve and Amy. We appreciate you as always. You've done a great job. Steve, we want to thank you so much. I want to make sure that we get your information posted on our group page so people can contact you and, go through Royal Caribbean or whatever for any type of trip that they want to take. I think, we've dispersed some very valuable information for our folks tonight. And like I said, with COVID is really on the run, so things are going to start opening up, and I think we'll start seeing a lot of things happening. So it's probably good that they get with you early and start booking and making plans or just asking questions. So we really thank you for everything that you've offered with us tonight. And Amy, thank you so much for being here. We know you're a very, very busy person, and we thank you for taking time out to share with our members about Royal Caribbean and some of the others and everything. And we just want to thank you for coming and sharing with us and letting us know what's possible. So with that being said, everybody, dig deeper, happy hunting. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next week when we've got Billy Godley from Knock the Macro, and we're going to be talking. So we'll see you then. Thanks, guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.